Hey, welcome back everybody. Welcome to Real Life Day 2. And I just want you to know that this is a 5-day program that's going to take you anywhere between 18 months to 5 to 7 years to become or to start living a rich life. But I'm going to try to get all these videos done in one day. All the hard work's been done up front with the workbook and the help of the staff to put all this together. So, day 2. I'm going to call this fact or fiction. It's human nature to want it now, or to want something and want it now. And that's called immaturity. So we have to understand that, and we have to know what the enemy's doing. You have to know what your enemy is doing to be able to defeat that enemy. Coming from an old crusty military guy. If a lie is repeated long enough and loud enough, the myth will be accepted as fact. Call that propaganda. And the marketing agents have it down. Our culture has learned to live the lie of debt. It's the normal thing to do. Debt has been sold so aggressively, so loudly, so often, that to imagine living without it just doesn't seem normal. So most people can't even conceive what it would be like to live without payments. Can you imagine what that would be like? I honestly, when I started down this journey, I could never imagine. And it was always one of my frustrations. I was so tired of being a slave to a lender, quite frankly. And at times I was going to work because I had to pay off my debt. So what a great feeling it's going to be, and I'm still on the journey, for us to not have any payments. It's so hard to even wrap your head around that. But I want you to think about that and think what a wonderful life it would be. So literally billions of credit card offers go out each year, and we're taking advantage of them, when really they're taking advantage of us. I'm telling you, we get, I would bet you 2 to 3, you probably get 3 to 5. And I always kid, oh look, I've got more money. So, when in fact, they're just trying to get me to become a slave to them. And I don't want to do that anymore. So, some fact or fiction. So fiction. Debt is a tool and should be used to create prosperity. Now the fact is, debt most often doesn't bring prosperity, and it isn't used by wealthy people nearly as much as we are led to believe. The myth has been sold that we should use other people's money to prosper. You know, the credit card companies, the banks, or the lenders. And according to Proverbs 22:7, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a slave to the lender. I just want to say that I want you to say that last phrase with me to really make this sink in. The borrower is the slave to the lender. And I got to tell you, sometimes it does feel like I am a slave, or it did feel like anyway. So I just want you to let that sink in, that even in the Bible they talk about being debt-free. So just know that this has been a struggle for humankind since Adam and Eve. So the borrower is a slave to the lender. And I just, have you ever felt like that? And, as I stated before, sometimes the only reason why I went to work was to make sure that I could pay off the debt that I had incurred. Cash advance. So this is another fiction. Cash advances, payday loans, rent to own, title pawning, and tote the note car lots are needed to help lower income people get ahead. Fact is, these are rip-off examples of predatory lending and are designed to take advantage of lower income people and benefit only the owners of the companies making the loans. When I was the garrison commander up at Fort Hood, it was amazing how many pawn shops and how many title loans were in and around the Fort Hood area. And soldiers are just easy targets, I'm sorry to say. But what happened is when I became the garrison commander, I went after them. What we found out was sometimes these interest rates were crazy. I'm talking, in my own personal experience, somebody did the math and it was 548% in an interest rate. Just crazy for soldiers to do that. So just beware of that. And I talked about this before, but these operators, these lending institutions, 100% to 500%. So don't deal with these guys. This type of business is, quite frankly, legalized loan sharking. Rent-to-own is one of the worst examples of the little red-faced kid in I want it now mode. The Federal Trade Commission continues to investigate this industry because the effective interest rate in rent-to-own transactions are over 1,800% on average. If you use payday loans, tote the note, and rent-to-own, please understand that you're being destroyed financially. So don't do it. Fiction, car payments are a way of life. You'll always have them. The fact is, staying away from car payments by driving a reliable used car is what the average millionaire does. That is how he or she can become a millionaire. The car payment is most folks' largest payment except for their home mortgage. So it steals more money from the income that you bring in than virtually anything else. The Federal Reserve notes that the average car payment is about $495 over 64 months. Most people get a car payment and keep it throughout their lives. I'm one of them. As soon as I would pay a car off, I was, okay, now I own the car. I need to go get another car. And I rationalized why I need a new car. And at the end of the day, the only rationalization was I love the new car smell. So as soon as these people get their car paid off, they get to another payment because they need a new car. Now listen to this, and I want you to listen to this close. If you invested $495 a month at the age of 25 to the age of 65 in an average mutual fund averaging 12%, you would have almost $6 million at the age of 65. If you put $495 in a cookie jar for 10 months, you have nearly $5,000 for a cash car. Every 10 months, you can trade up to a newer car. So the technique is here, you save $5,000, go buy a car that may not get you the greatest car, but in another 10 months, you save another $5,000. You can upgrade. And you pay cash, and you have no payments. So if you're committed to living a rich life, you need to make a decision about looking good or being good. Looking good is when your broke friends are impressed by what you drive. And being good is having more money than they will ever have. You starting to realize now that debt-free life is also a matter of the heart? It's a change in the behavior. You have to reach the point that what people think is not your primary motivator. Reaching the goal of being debt-free is the motivator. So no, you can't afford a new car unless you're a millionaire, and therefore to afford to lose thousands of dollars all in the name of a new car smell, a good car that is less than 3 years old is as reliable or more reliable than a new car. A new $28,000 car will lose about $17,000 in value the first 4 years you own it. It's almost $100 a day, or $100 per week lost in value. So to understand this, I want you to roll down the window next time you're going to work and just go ahead every week, throw a $100 bill out the window. So just so you know, the average millionaire drives a 2-year-old car with no payments. He or she just simply bought it with cash. So another fact or fiction, you should get a credit card to build your credit, when in fact you don't need credit if you're debt free, except maybe for a mortgage, and you don't need a credit card for that. So can you even imagine what that feels like? The last myth is the build your credit myth. Bankers, car dealers, and unknowledgeable mortgage lenders have told America for years to build your credit so that you can be financially stable. This means that if we have to get credit so we can get more debt, because debt is how we get stuff. Does that make sense? It doesn't to me, and I never rationalized it before until I went through this program. But it just, now that I look back on it, I just don't understand what it is or why I bought into that. But so the FICO score, quite frankly, it's the I Love Debt score. Your FICO score is determined by 35% debt payment history, 30% debt levels, 15% length of debt, 10% new debt, and 10% type of debt. So I just kind of lay that out there so you know what, if you're tracking your FICO score, and you should, you know what is affecting that score. So if you're making payments but your debt to income ratio is way high, your debt score is going to go down. So if you're not making payments and you don't have a lot of debt to income ratio, your FICO score is still going to go down because you're not making the payments. So it's just a cycle of life when you're a debtor or a slave to a lender. So another piece of fiction: if you pay off your credit card every month, you get the free use of someone else's money. Yeah, maybe, but fact is, CardTrack says that 60% of people don't pay off their credit cards every month. And a study of credit card use at McDonald's found that people spend 47% more when using credit instead of cash. You see, it hurts when you spend cash. Therefore, you spend less. So an American Bankruptcy Institute study of all bankruptcy filers reveals that 69% of the filers say credit card debt caused the bankruptcy. What you need to know is your income is your largest wealth building asset. When you tie up your income, you lose. When you invest your income, you become wealthy and can do anything you want. How much could you give every month? How much could you save every month and spend every month if you had no payments? It's like I said earlier in the video, just to get your head wrapped around that. My parents, I believe they always had payments, and I know that's the road I was going down, but I'm excited to not have any payments here in the near future. So your assignment is to sit down and discuss with your spouse, or if you're single, just write down any of these facts and fictions that you bought into. And I want you to think, what else is society telling us about debt that is fiction? And quite frankly, I would say 99.9% of anything that talks about debt being good is probably fiction. So the next thing I want you to do is find an accountability partner or partners and discuss with them the journey you're about to take, and to ask that they hold you accountable to your goal. And let me just tell you, you're going to need them. Because there will be times where you're going to want to cheat. You're going to want to go get that impulse buy, or go buy that watch, or you really need the next new shiny iPhone, or whatever. It's an impulse buy. It's something that you did not budget for. So it's not going to help you get out of debt. So have an accountability partner. I found that when you have an accountability partner, you have to answer somebody. Now, we know we've got the best accountability partner that we could ever have in Jesus. And that's great. You need to keep in communication with Jesus about how you're feeling about trying to become debt-free. And make sure that you communicate with them the struggles that you're having trying to become debt-free. And find peace in Jesus. Because at the end of the day, it's where we are with Jesus. So, find an accountability partner with you, and tell them what you're about to go on, and ask them for the support, or for their support in helping you reach your goal. So that's it. That's the assignment. End of day 2. I think that in day 3 we're going to start getting into taking steps to become debt free. See you on the next video.